All right, today we are using area and perimeter formulas. Formulas, we sound very, very smart. A formula, if you want to grab your highlighter, is a rule written with math symbols, which sounds complicated, but it isn't. Okay, it's going to be an equation. Okay, has an equal sign and either an addition sign, a subtraction sign, a multiplication sign, or a division sign. Okay, it's a rule. It's going to always be true. So area equals length times width, which you already knew from third grade. But we use symbols like the cursive L for length and the cursive W for width. All right, and length is always going across, how long it is, and width is how wide it is. We usually talk about how high something is when we're doing this, but this is also how wide it is. Okay, so when we're finding area, we're finding how much space is inside something. So inside this rectangle. And we're going to go length times width. When we find this, we're also our unit, we're going to have to use a unit, right? We see feet here, inches here, yard here, centimeter here, is going to be squared because it's going to be how many square units are inside this box. All right. The other formula we're going to use is perimeter. Now, you guys are probably familiar with this formula. Perimeter equals length plus width plus width. Okay, but in fourth grade, we're going to use this formula, which is the same thing, okay, but it's written a little differently because we can multiply in fourth grade. All right, so perimeter is actually 2 times the sum means we add, of length plus width. So that means all we have to do is we have to add 3 plus 5, or our length and our width. And then when we get that answer of what we added, the sum of what we added, we multiply it by 2. Okay, that's what it's saying here. But remember, we do whatever's in the parentheses first. So we would add length plus width first, and then we would multiply by 2. Okay, so we're going to use those when we are solving these problems. All right, so first we're going to go to find the area. Okay, here we're at. Grab your pencil. Make sure you're using a pencil, not a highlighter. Okay, not a pen. Thank you. All right, here we go. Area is length times width. So we are going to multiply the length times the width. And we're going to multiply 3 times 5, which equals 15. So bear with me here because my finger is my pencil. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so that I can write in here. All right. So I'm going to put 15 in here, but I'm also going to use feet. It's not just 15 feet that is inside here. It's 15 feet squared, okay? Meaning there's 15 boxes inside this box right here. The area that this takes up is 15 square feet. Okay, so there'd be 15 boxes. There would be 5 rows, right? Because this is here. Of means multiply, 3. So there'd be 3 boxes across here that are 1 foot by 1 foot. Okay, so that's why we have to say feet squared. All right, so over here we have another one. You guys can probably do it already. You can write your work right underneath. And it is 2 times 7, because it's, sorry, it should be length times width. Not that it matters. It could go either way, right? But 7 times 2, because I did length times width, is going to equal 14. So on my area, I'm going to write 14. My unit is here is inches squared. Okay, because I'm doing area. All right. Now we're going to move down to perimeter. Now remember, in 4th grade, we're going to use the red one, the red formula at the top for perimeter. So we're going to, I'll use red for that. We're going to look at 5 yards length and 12 yards width. So I'm going to take 2 times the sum, so I'm using parentheses, 5 plus 12. Okay, so that means I have to add 5 plus 12 first, which is 17, times 2. Now, I don't know what 17 times 2 is off the top of my head. That wasn't in our multiplication facts. So all I have to do is 17 plus 17, right? It's 17 twice. So 17 plus 17, even if you want to write it over here, 17 plus 17 is going to equal 34. Okay, now perimeter is how long it is around the outside edge, right? So that means from this corner all the way up, all the way over, all the way down, all the way over. I'm making this as if I were laying a string down here. And I just want to know how long that is. So we're not going to use squared in this. We're just going to use our unit because it's one long unit, as if I put a string here and then stretched that whole string out straight. What would the length of it be? It would be 34, and my unit is yards. Okay, same thing over here. We're going to do 2 times the sum of 8 plus 4. Well, 8 plus 4 I have to do first, so that's 12 times 2. Okay, 2 times 12, I know that one. That's one of my facts, is 24. All right, my 24 doesn't look like 24, but it does say 24. All right, 24 centimeters is my unit. All right. All right, last but not least, I'm going to actually give myself some space off the paper. If you need to write on your notebook, that works too, because I want to find the missing length. Sometimes we know one side, we know the width, but we don't know the length, or maybe we know the length but not the width, and then we know the area or the perimeter. So now we have to work backwards. All right, so here we know, if we know the formula for area is area equals length times width. Remember, that's that rule. Now we're just going to plug in what we know, okay? We know it says over here that area equals 54 miles squared. So I'm going to write that right under the A, okay? 54 miles squared equals, and I'm going to plug in anything else I know. I don't know my length, so I'm going to leave the L for that. And I do know my width. My width is 9 miles. 9 miles. So I just plugged in everything that I know. Now I have to think about, I can get rid of my units so it doesn't confuse me, but my equation is going to say 54 equals something times 9. Well, what times 9 equals 54? I could think about it that way. I could also do the opposite. This is multiplication. I know the whole number, and I know one factor, 9. So I could do division. 54 divided by 9 equals what? That's going to give me that blank that I'm looking for. Okay? 54 divided by 9 is 6. I can use my multiplication chart. I could do whatever I needed to find what times 9 equals 54. 54 divided by 9, it equals 6. So up here, for my length, I now know that my length has to equal 6. All right? So I'm going to write 6, and I already have my unit, so I don't have to worry about that. But I had to use that formula, that rule that I knew, okay? Over here, what I'm going to do is I have to write down the perimeter formula. Okay, I'm going to do it in red just so that I have a different, I'll try yellow. Okay, I'm going to write down the perimeter formula, which is perimeter equals 2 times length plus width. Okay, well, I know perimeter, so I'm going to fill in the things that I know. I know perimeter is 30. That's a 0. All right, and I know this says 2 times the sum of, I don't know my length, but I do know my width, so I can put in plus 4. So now I'm going to work backwards. I have to say, over here, I'm multiplied by, right? I'm multiplying by 2. If I multiplied by 2 over here, I can actually divide by 2. So here I right? 2 times the sum of this. Over here, I can just divide this by 2. All right? So, and that will get rid of this whole thing. So when I do that, it's going to look like this. I'm going to, over here I multiplied, I'm going to say 30 divided by 2 equals, and then whatever's in the parentheses, length times, not times, length plus 4. Well, 30 divided by 2, what's half of 30? If I cut 30 in half, it's 15. Okay? Equals length plus 4. Okay, so now I have a blank. 15 equals blank plus 4. Blank plus 4. How could I figure that out? Well, I could take 4. I know my whole, and I know one of my addends. So I could subtract, right? Because I'm adding here. I could subtract. 15 minus 4 equals what? Well, it equals 11, right? So if it equals 11, that means my length is 11. So I'm going to go up to my notes and put 11 in 11 kilometers. And then I'm just going to make sure that it works. I'm going to plug it into my formula. So if I go 30, right, that's my perimeter, equals 2 times the sum of 4 plus 11, now that I have my length. Okay, 4 plus 11 is 15 times 2. Does 15 times 2 equal 30? Well, 15 plus 15 equals 30, so that is correct. All right. All right, I will talk to you guys later.